There are moments in our lives when we feel stuck, and we even question the way we are leading our lives. We feel that no matter how much effort we put into being in well-being and harmony with the universe and our mission within it, we simply don't achieve it. However, these feelings of stagnation can be regular and place us at a pivotal moment where we have to decide whether to intensify our inner work or simply give up and continue to be condemned to the reality that initially motivated us to leave our comfort zone. This is a very personal determination for each individual, but I can witness how many times we believe we are taking the right actions in the framework of our inner work, but simply the way we are approaching things is not the most suitable. This doesn't mean you are incapable, it doesn't mean you won't succeed, or that somehow you are destined to fail. It just implies that you need a little touch of light to see more clearly the path to success, well-being, and to an absolute state of balance and respect with the universe. A helping hand is never redundant, and accepting help doesn't make us less capable people, much less powerful souls. It just makes us human beings who, in the midst of our imperfection, can lose our way a little. However, what really defines you is the effort you put into returning to the right path for us. Life is not a straight path, and our process is by no means a linear one. It's one of twists and turns, ups and downs, in which we can lose the right frequency. In the face of this, we must remember that we can once again tune ourselves with the energies of the universe and the highest vibrational frequencies. Losing balance doesn't make us less deserving or capable people, and I'm not the only one saying this, but many enlightened souls who have offered their lives as an example that we can, and it is our duty to realign our being with the highest. Our state of consciousness is something that can vary, both from one person to another and from one moment to another. That's why feeling out of tune is not the end of the world. And today I want to give you a short list of things we can do or approach differently so that your vibration can be elevated to the highest level and you can reach those levels of consciousness you desire. This journey will be guided at all times by the teachings that the illustrious Dolores Cannon imparted through her research and years of study, which were supported by her numerous past life regression sessions with clients, during which she could discern important patterns of energies and aspects that often prevent us from remaining in harmony with the universe. That's why I ask you to pay close attention, as we may even be falling into these errors without having a conscious knowledge of them, and today's goal is for us to internalize and vibrate again in harmony with the highest frequencies. Number 1. Negative thinking. Thinking is one of those 3 key aspects that concretely and sharply determine how we align with vibrational frequencies, since the mind is the gateway to all those energies that we end up manifesting in our reality one way or another. Thought always manages to generate a very powerful energy, one that is capable of accompanying each and everything we undertake, because there is not a single action or project that starts to take shape in our lives without us thinking about it first. The way we visualize and analyze the things we want, and that happen to us in our day-to-day lives, is simply impressive and capable on many levels of making them successful or causing them to collapse before our eyes. Every time a person begins to conceive an idea in their mind, they immediately generate thoughts and opinions about it, from the way we see, perceive, or desire them to the way we would like to receive them. But that's when things can become quite complex because thoughts are quick to generate, and if deep down we're not really aligned with the positive, they probably won't be entirely good. When we allow negativity to invade our thoughts, we are condemning everything we hold in our minds, as we are emitting a vibration to the universe that orders it to place obstacles and stumbling blocks in our path toward that desire. Throughout time, much has been said about the importance of maintaining a clear mind, but few give it the value and care that this part of us deserves because, as I already mentioned, it is the first part of a wonderful manifestation process. It is simply the gateway to all the possibilities that exist within us. When we know how to keep the energy emanating from our thoughts clean and harmonious, that same energy is capable of sending a message of success, achievement, and creation of everything we conceive in our minds to the universe, because everything we think in one way or another is already created and just needs to be pulled into our reality. But in the midst of this transmission that the universe carries out from an intangible plane to our reality, we can end up affecting everything and preventing what rightfully belongs to us from reaching us. Because if there is one thing that is certain, it is that everything we manage to conceive in our minds is nothing more than a message that predicts what is rightfully ours and what the universe has to offer us. However, many doubt that they can actually achieve what they visualize, and largely due to the influence of negative energies. But the reality is that we are capable of that and much more, and we only limit ourselves because of these negative energies that enter our being from these types of thoughts. Many times we ourselves are not able to understand the capacity of our being because from the mind, we see it as something small, fragile, and incapable of reaching beyond a certain point. But this is nothing more than a set of erroneous programming that has been installed in our being, a product of negativity. And the influence of negativity can be as powerful as to make us have a distorted view of things and of ourselves. We can see ourselves as ugly, incapable, or even underestimate our intellect, not realizing that how we view things from the outside can greatly influence our ability to achieve what we want. Many people perceive these thoughts born of negativity as a little voice telling them how incapable and powerless they are, seeking to deceive them and divert their attention from the true potential of their being. If your desire is truly to align yourself with the high vibrational frequencies and positive energies that the universe holds, you cannot do so by allowing these thoughts to become part of you. On the contrary, you must learn to quickly detect when a negative thought comes to you and immediately evict it from your being, because nothing good can come from letting them linger within you. Fill yourself with self-love, security, and thoughts of triumph, and you will see how from this substitution of negativity, everything will begin to change for you. Number 2, fear. This second point can be perfectly intertwined with the first, and is a force that has gained great relevance within the dimension we currently inhabit. I'm talking about nothing less than fear. Often, people tend to become completely paralyzed by this powerful energy, which has been gaining its power and capabilities from the strength we give it. However, it is actually a weak energy that seeks to feed on each of the souls inhabiting the earth. Throughout history, humanity has normalized fear and its effect on individuals, instilling ideas from which fear protects the person and their physical, mental, and emotional integrity. This is why it is allowed to take hold among the men and women who inhabit this space. But understanding that fear is not actually capable of paralyzing anyone, it only deceives us into stopping ourselves and completely limiting our lives. However, this limitation is not from the bad things, but from the good things and great lessons that can come in different and often unknown forms. Usually fear tends to arise when something unknown is in front of us. However, this is not the only form it takes, as it has many tactics to reach you and many channels through which it is transmitted. If we take the time to analyze things, often we experience fear and cannot determine the reason. Yet, if we remain immersed in that sensation and give it power, we halt all movement until we once again feel comfortable and secure. Although it's easy to say but hard to put into practice, the most valuable thing we can do for our lives is to set aside fear. It is from our conscious determination to experience the unknown, or what generates unfounded insecurity, that our reality will begin to become more wonderful, expansive, and diverse than it was before. Life always presents us with what we need to experience to acquire knowledge or skills, and if we want to progress and refine ourselves, there is no other way to access this information than simply living each moment and making the most of them. We are not born knowing the world perfectly, and from a very young age, we are exploring everything around us, motivated by that thirst for knowledge and the desire to immerse ourselves in the waters of wisdom. This seems to change as we grow older because as the years go by, there are more traumas and unpleasant experiences that we live through, most of which we do not know how to manage properly. Let me explain. When we experience an unpleasant moment in our lives, that automatically becomes part of the things we see as bad or dangerous, causing every future similar situation to be censored by us. But what we often fail to see is that life presents us with very diverse situations, with external factors, characters, and circumstances, from which we can also realize that the chances of everything ending the same way are quite low. Everything always fits perfectly into the universe's plan, so we should not be afraid to move forward into the unknown, nor should we associate it with past events, as from each situation we end up gaining knowledge, skills, and a lot of strength. Every time you decide to be paralyzed by fear, remember that living a life without emotions is condemning ourselves to be dead while walking on this plane. Just as the things we know were once unknown to us, everything we experience now will be useful in our journey and in the things that lie ahead for our lives. Therefore, refusing to live them will simply mean losing the necessary preparation for even greater challenges and consequently condemning ourselves to have only what we can handle from our fear. Life is full of rewards for those who open themselves in awareness, as they are capable of neutralizing the influences of fear and negative thinking and making their way through the various growth opportunities that each day of our existence offers. And if you want to maintain a high vibration or even elevate your being to the point where it aligns with the highest frequencies, the first thing you must do is recognize your fears, confront them, and not let any idea or sensation that comes from fear settle in you or within you from now on. Number 3. Resentment and grudges. It is not necessary to explain what resentment is, much less grudges. What is necessary, however, is to explain the strong influence they have on our lives and how they can contaminate our souls to the point of lowering our vibration and ending up aligned with the lowest frequencies, as if we were still in total unconsciousness. A highly dangerous part of resentment and grudges is that they make us think that by standing firm in our position, we have the right to go against the other person or remain in constant condemnation of them, their actions, or their offences. And although we are often victims of injustices or acts of disregard from others, our job is not to make them see the error they have made, but to understand that these people are not at the same level of consciousness and to work on maintaining our inner peace. The actions of other people are simply things we cannot control, and no matter how much we want to, they are not always kind to us or align with our principles. Just as we are varied in our physical forms and the energies of our soul, the processes that different people face in their lives are also very varied, which will eventually lead them to consciousness without needing our interference. Some others choose to harbour resentment silently, as if clinging to that energy somehow makes them triumphant in the situation that occurred and caused this very negative energy. But in reality, every time we hold on to feelings of negativity and resentment, we make ourselves a little less vibrant to the universe, and all we achieve with this determination is cutting ourselves off from thousands of blessings and light that the universe has to offer us. More than an act of hatred and of taking light away from others, resentment is an act directed towards ourselves, from which we only harm ourselves, what we receive, and the energies we end up aligning with. That is why resentment and grudges are two aspects and energies that we advise eliminating definitively from our being and our reality. To vibrate at a higher frequency, it is necessary to understand that many times people will not act according to what we expect, not even according to what is right. But that has nothing to do with our being or our way of proceeding. This has more to do with each one's internal process, of which we are often catalysts. Just as we ourselves are going through a process of transformation and improvement of our being, others are also doing so, only they do it silently and deal with the aspects of their being that life presents to them in their own way, which is often not easy. That is why we end up seeing how many times they act against their surroundings or encounter obstacles in their path, because deep down they do not understand how to deal with that energy and those events, so they harm their bonds and interactions unconsciously. Obviously, this is not a reason to go around behaving badly in life and harming or offending everyone we encounter, but it is a strong motive for those of us who are offended to rise above the actions of those people. The main object of concern in our lives should be ourselves and our inner peace, and we cannot simply give away those treasures to others. We must govern our being under the precept that what we cannot control, we must simply let go into the hands of God and the universe. For it is the best technique to keep ourselves balanced and vibrating at a high frequency. When life presents us with a person who has acted against us, we must see it as yet another test of infinite compassion, love, and understanding towards others, because the energy they have used against us will eventually turn back to them with the same malice and negativity with which it was used, while our only concern should be not to lower our vibrational frequency by engaging with these issues. Beings elevated to the highest levels of consciousness always have as their guiding principles love, infinite compassion, and forgiveness, so they remain vibrating at the highest vibrational frequencies and serve as an example for us who aspire to reach that point. Let us be compassionate and full of love for these people, who will have to deal with their actions, and who often do not understand that what they have done is wrong or hurts others. They do not internalize it at this moment, but at some point they will have to. And while that moment arrives, you just have to let go of the weight of what has happened in the past and focus on the present and what is within you and you can handle. Number 4. Judgment and criticism. Although everyone understands that this pair of energies are extremely negative both for us and for others, many ignore the consequences and hold them within themselves, as it somehow gives them a sense of superiority over others. But I invite you to think and answer the following question. Is issuing judgments or criticisms of others actually beneficial for us? What do we achieve as a result? The truth that few want to face is that as we emit energies, words, and judgments against others, what actually happens on an unconscious level is that we are talking about ourselves and what we see in our own being. Other people are nothing more than mirrors, where we reflect these aspects of ourselves in which we do not feel strong or fulfilled, causing our reaction to be one of criticism, judgment, and seeking to minimize. However, all this happens without understanding that we are only attacking ourselves. Generating energies of criticism and forming judgments about another person only serves to burden ourselves so heavily that we become stuck in a certain stretch of our journey. And the only way to free ourselves from that burden is to engage in deep introspection and confront what bothers us about ourselves. Ultimately, the solution will never be to speak negatively about the other person, because that negative energy can not only end up affecting the listener, but also the producer. In addition to giving another person a load of negativity which they may or may not accept, we also send out to the universe a dense vibration that will eventually come back to us, intensified, manifesting as problems, difficulties, and challenges for us. That's why when we detect something that bothers or annoys us about another person, the solution is to evaluate what of that attitude exists within ourselves and why it bothers us so much. From there, your inner self will guide you towards the desired answers that are generating that energy within you, and you'll be able to eradicate them, realigning yourself with the highest vibrational frequencies. But if the situation is reversed, and we are the ones receiving criticism and judgment, what should we do? This energy, like all others, can be rejected by us, always from a place of self-belief and a balanced mind, which will be the key factor in not allowing low vibrations to invade us. From another perspective, we must understand that everything people direct towards us, in the form of criticism or judgment about our lives, is nothing more than an expression of what bothers them about themselves, which they end up reflecting onto us. In this case, it's still important to understand that we all have a different process tailored to the needs of our soul and the parts of it that seek growth. So, it's not uncommon for each person to face very different processes from each other, and what you consider normal or clear may be a stormy terrain for another person. If we truly want to align ourselves with the highest vibrational frequencies, we must learn to be a little more compassionate, kind, and forgiving. Otherwise, we will never be able to rid ourselves of those heavy burdens we carry. It is through love, compassion, kindness, and forgiveness that we truly vibrate at a high level and experience the goodness of life. Therefore, we must not let energies contrary to this invade us, as they only cause delays and energetic contaminations that lead us to the lowest and darkest levels. Let's look at others with the same compassion with which the Father looks at us and our mistakes, because at no point has our actions caused the universe to stop offering us opportunities. This is not a coincidence. It's simply a demonstration of the elevated energies circulating among us, always opening doors to a path of light and success. If you feel that someone has offended you, judged you, or criticized you without knowing you, you must understand that those are their energies, and they must deal with them. Instead of feeling bad or getting upset, we should breathe, accept their process, bless them, and continue focusing on what concerns us and the path our soul is showing us. From the moment you do this, your life will change, and you will feel the lightness with which your soul now moves, blessing and forgiving others and ourselves for our mistakes and offenses. Number 5. Strong attachment to results. There is an issue that few talk about, and it is the way many of us judge our progress based on the results we see, without taking into consideration how we are evolving each day. This only leads to discouragement, feelings of inadequacy, and doubts about our abilities. It's quite common to see how humans are hard on themselves, and when combined with external opinions, we end up falling into a deep abyss of sadness and negative energies that completely invade and unbalance our being. Beyond the things we go through in our lives, our soul is gathering information, skills, and wisdom from different sources, making each day a new cycle of learning and self-improvement. Even when the events we experience are not entirely positive and end up affecting our soul a little. But all of this is part of the learning process, and falling into a difficult situation does not make us incapable, inadequate, or failures. It simply brings us to an awareness that each moment is one of profound learning, from which we emerge even better and greater than we were before. And if you understand this, you must necessarily understand that your progress is not measured solely by your results, because your life is not a tally of sales or deals closed per month. It is a beautiful process in which thousands of aspects of the universe and our being are presented to us, and we must learn to pay attention to them. Despite being constructive beings, we are not machines that only function if they achieve the goal. Within us, there is life, consciousness, and a great energy that molds itself and everything around it every day. We cannot see others as successful or unsuccessful based solely on whether they complete a task or not, because, like us, they are undergoing many internal changes. Even if we don't see them, it is important to recognize them, just as we recognize ourselves. Let's take our lives one step at a time, without haste or anxiety, because the entire universe conspires to help us achieve everything we desire in the perfect and correct way. Our desperation will not change the right way in which everything must align. It will only lower our vibrational frequency. So let's take care of ourselves by recognizing our progress, and from the infinite compassion for the burdens we carry on the path toward our goal. Number 6. Doubts. Beyond uncertainty lies the empowerment of the self, which is something we deeply aspire to. However, it can sometimes become complicated for us, especially with the intrusion of negative energies in our lives, which can open the door to doubts, especially those related to ourselves, our capabilities, and our deservingness of things. As we know, self-love and the recognition we give ourselves are the fuel for our soul to keep advancing and seeking to fulfill its true mission. But this kind of love is not so easy to cultivate, even though it is the foundation for all other types of affection and love. Part of loving ourselves is inevitably delimited by how we perceive ourselves, which for many people is a distorted and distant image from reality. Consequently, we end up feeling that we don't actually possess what it takes within us to achieve those dreams we long for. It's possible that some of those who are gathered here from afar have doubted themselves and the power of their being, and that's not something to be ashamed of. In fact, it's something we've likely all experienced at some point in our lives. What truly matters is our ability to once again feel capable, strong, and wonderful, because that's the kind of person we truly are. There isn't a single body or soul that has descended to earth that is imperfect or incapable of manifesting everything for themselves and for humanity. The power of our soul is simply capable of reaching as far as it desires, as much as we allow it. That's why when we see someone doubt themselves, we quickly understand their mistake, and with that, we must understand part of their process, while also blessing them and sending them much light, because that's what connects our souls to the highest vibrational frequencies. But at the same time, we must take hold of ourselves and evaluate if there are doubts about ourselves and our abilities, because if so, it's time to let them go and allow the light and self-love to penetrate the depths of our being, empowering and filling us with an extra push to achieve what we desire. The way you'll feel a vibrant energy take hold of you from your ability to honor and recognize your strength and value is something that will leave you breathless and will make you understand that there is nothing in this world capable of stopping you. Number 7. Lust. Although we often feel a strong energy that we tend to confuse with love, in reality, lust is the complete opposite of the energy of true love. It's merely a call to the flesh that places us in the lowest vibrational levels and causes us to derail in many aspects of our lives. While sexual energy itself is not inherently bad, when it becomes confused and transforms into lust, things can quickly spiral out of control, leading to dangerous, unbalanced, and even inconceivable extremes for many. Although we are all prone to experiencing lust, the truth is that this energy is somewhat more selective, not calling out to everyone in the same way. However, this doesn't mean that some are more special than others. It simply speaks to the fact that some individuals have stronger challenges to face regarding sexual energy and soul connections. Lust is the distortion that love undergoes when obsession and sexual energies become unbalanced, causing us to perceive love in a carnal, possessive, and even unhealthy manner. The reality is that in one way or another, everyone seeks to feel love, approval, and a deep connection that nourishes our souls, and this shouldn't make us feel strange, bad, or needy. It's a beautiful force that moves our being but can confuse our soul, clouding our judgment and leading us to cling to such energies. When any of the energies that drive our soul become unbalanced, they will inevitably lead our being to transform things into less positive outcomes, ultimately causing us to lose our way toward perfection. However, if we understand that all our needs will be met by the universe through our commitment to aligning ourselves with the purest and cleanest energies, we can easily reject all those things that invite us to seek love through the flesh. Although the pleasures of the flesh can exhilarate our being, what truly nourishes, strengthens, and benefits it is feeling the power of love in its purest and most honest forms, which are not associated with the body or the experiences it can provide. Each of us is part of a wonderful earthly realm where what our bodies can offer us in terms of learning through emotions and sensations is simply impressive, but it should not be interpreted as the only form of exploration within our realm. When seeking to explore the depth of relationships and the bonds that unite us with another soul, the body and what it can generate in others should not be the driving force behind our journey. Rather, it constitutes an ancillary aspect of the experience. What connects us to another soul is something much deeper that transcends the bounds of the physical and the explainable, and it should not be measured by our ability to provide physical comfort. This, in reality, represents an imbalance of the sexual energies that accompany us from our creation, and we must recognize and work on them in the same way as other parts of our being. We must accept all parts of ourselves and take care of them so that they are not invaded by negative and dark energies, from which things can be distorted and ultimately turn into dark forces, as is the case with lust. But by tending to our inner selves and the feelings that arise from within, we can align ourselves with the true essence of our being, which can surprise us and lead us to live in a state of fulfillment and well-being. However, as we are all here to grow, if you believe there is another factor that could destabilize our being, I invite you to mention it in the comments, and thus help us all align with the highest vibrational frequencies. If you enjoyed this content, please give it a like, and if you want someone else to awaken to consciousness about these aspects of our vibration, I invite you to share this video with them, as everyone is welcome in this space. I sincerely hope to reconnect with you and all the other souls that converge here in a future opportunity, and to ensure nothing impedes this, I invite you to join this channel and activate notifications so you can know whenever a new space for light and growth is opened among us. We will meet again very soon, but until then, I send you much light and blessings.